I was thinking about wearing a suit today, but decided to stay on brand. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all had a restful summer and are excited to be back in such a special place. A little over 3 decades ago, I left my first career. Come on, Pookie. As a professional whitewater raft guide to pursue a career in education. Being a raft guide humbles you fast, and I learned far more than just boating from guiding boats. I didn't have a clear vision of what I wanted to do post-guiding when I left for Maine, but I had an epiphany sitting on the back of the raft that I was going to be a science teacher. It was during my teaching certificate program while shopping for a student teaching placement that I stumbled on this place. I sat in a class with Rich Ganji and then another with Bob Brewster. And I knew that this was the place. Watching their skills, they engaged students, asked questions, and challenged them to think confirmed it. I was assigned to work with them the following spring. If you talk to Brew about me, he'll quickly drop into a story about my student teaching. It was not the greatest lesson I ever had, but probably the worst. It was bad. And he told everybody. On my 3rd date with my future wife, he walks up to us in Cranford, he's like, let me tell you about his teaching. Oh. It was on genetics and went horribly wrong. Midway through the class, I knew gone off the rails. I looked up and I saw Brew, and he just looked at me like this. He tilted his head like a dog, and at the end of the class he asked, well, how'd that go? He gave me space to reflect and a chance to grow. He didn't jump in and try to save the day. Instead, he created a space for me to learn from my mistakes. That's the magic of this place. We can make mistakes and we can learn from them. I've been at this since the 1900s, and there's been a ton of change. 5 years into my career, I heard about Ask Jeeves, and right now, like half the you are all like, what? Yeah. There's been a ton of change, but certain things have been remarkably consistent. Each September, this community trusts us with their greatest treasure, their kids, and leaves it to us to create global citizens ready for the challenges out there. We're tasked with helping craft students who are kind, curious, and skeptical, who will ask the hard questions and listen for the answers. And we have phenomenal colleagues and administrators we can come to with ideas to try things and see if they work. I love to read, and I love the feeling of the paper and turning the pages and the discoveries to be found between the covers. About a week ago, I finished a scholarly work on lightning in the backcountry. Pro tip, don't be there. But if you are there are ways you can reduce risk. The other things I read over the summer were Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning and Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And both of these works have profoundly impacted me, and I think they hold a tremendous amount of insight for what we do. Frankl believed that we don't discover the meaning of life, but we create it by how we respond to life's challenges and opportunities. And when we have found meaning through family, friends, work, and suffering, we are happier and more resilient as humans, and even better able to help others. Covey felt that the only constants in life are change, choices, and priorities, which he also called principles. If we stack these together, we see that we're constantly presented with change and choices, and how we use our priorities and principles to respond to these challenges is how we find meaning. We are incredibly lucky to have an opportunity to do meaningful work. Last year was a challenging year, and so was the year before it and the year before that. This year will be a challenge too, and we will sort out the new schedule, figure out when we can go to the bathroom, and find meaning, even a bit of frustration as we figure it out. We can all do this together. I want to close with some big takeaways I've learned from 35 years of sitting in the back of a raft, because I feel like these lessons can be applied to us here today. So that's a picture of me 35 years ago up to me. So first, and this is going to be the hardest for all of us, and some of my colleagues have already heard this, there's something we call the fist of 5. When you're approaching an emergency, you walk to the problem, so whatever's causing the problem doesn't cause the problem for you. First, I'm number 1. Second, what happened to you? Third, can it happen to me? 4, are there any more? And 5, will you make it out alive? This is really hard for teachers, it's really hard for parents, it's really hard for raft guides. We want to run in and rescue, but we also have to make sure that we're okay and we're taking care of ourselves first. That's really, really important. The next thing, share your snacks. Even when people are really stressed and really upset, you hand them some food and they're like, not so bad anymore. It's hard to complain with things in your mouth. Next. And this is the big one, and this is like the big super duper metaphor, and I'm like, oh, it's the meaning of life on the river. This is something called a throw bag. It contains this one contains 68 feet of rope, that one contains 75 feet of rope. Something goes sideways on the river, I'm taking my throw bag and I'm throwing it as hard as I can at your head. Hits you in the head, you grab it, you're like, oh, and then the rope pulls you out of the problem. Here's the cool part of the story. This bag, my bag, this is on its actual second rope, it's not going to save me. It's always going to be tossed to somebody else. That bag up there is my buddy Big Jim's bag. That's the one that's coming for me. Each and every one of you chose where you're sitting today. These are the people who are going to be out there to throw you a rope, or you're throwing a rope to them. And it is okay for us to depend on others for help. That's really important. Lastly, second to lastly, we always on the river point positive. We always point to where we want to be going. And there are going to be challenges this year, and we want to be pointing to the solution, not the problem, and people will follow. And then finally, first, this is really important. This picture was taken 2 years before I was born. This was not my fault. There are 3 types of raft guides in the world. There are those that have flipped, those that will flip, and those that will flip again. Risk has rewards and consequences. This is a safe place for us to be taking risks. It's a safe place to make mistakes, especially because Brew isn't here to tell the rest of the world about how bad you did. So, when you push and push hard, there's a chance you'll fail, and that's okay. It's a failure, it's an opportunity to learn and have a chance to do something different. It's time for us to get back at it again, take some risks, and possibly flip. But doing so knowing the folks with us right here are the ones that have our backs and will throw us a rope if we need it. Hope everyone has a great year.